What if I told you the world around you is a simulation? Your neighbors, your grass.
Your grass.
Your neighbors, your house, the grass beneath your feet, the ocean around your seaside haven. All an illusion.
Alrighty then, Buster. The only thing that's an illusion here is your sense of fashion.
Truman, this is your last chance. In one hand, you take the blue pill. You live out your fantasy life with your fantasy wife. You dream of Fiji and of a life greater than the one that's been decided for you. You take the red pill, and you see how far this rabbit hole goes.
Wait a minute. How do you know about Fiji?
I know a lot of things, Truman.
Well then, what's my second uncle's middle name?
Johnson. Johnson Truman.
I don't have a second uncle. That was a trap. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Hard Ticket starts now.
It's a hard ticket at the movies.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Hard Ticket. We're kicking off our 2026 season with a special matchup that we're calling one of our Duel of the Fates.
Yeah.
It's one of the ones that we've had planned since the very conception of Hard Ticket. This is a big one for us. Tristan, why don't you get us started by talking about option number A?
Yes, option number A, 1998 classic, directed by Peter Weir. It's called The Truman Show. Stars Jim Carrey as he's an insurance salesman who's living basically like in an idyllic 1950s seaside village.
Yeah.
And slowly discovers that his perfect life is actually the backdrop of a reality TV show. This is a classic film from the 90s. I feel like this is one of those films that is like aged like fine wine.
Yeah, it came out at just the right time, I would say. It's like right before the reality TV boom, right before I think Big Brother Survivor comes out like 2 years after this. And those are like two of the longest running reality TV shows.
Yes.
So yeah, it's and it's also like at the height of Jim Carrey's popularity too. Like late 90s. He'd never been bigger.
Yeah, this is like an early Jim Carrey role where he's not just doing like a comedic thing. He's not like The Mask or like the cable guy or whatever. He's doing like an actual dramatic role. There's comedy in the film.
Yes.
But you could almost argue that this is like a horror film in a way. It's an existential horror film.
Yeah, it definitely hit me like that on this rewatch for sure. Which is great because we're putting it up against a film of really a different genre altogether, but of a premise that we're going to talk about how similar it really is.
Very similar.
I speak, of course, of option number B, The Matrix, directed by Lana and Lily Wachowski. Came out in 1999, right before the turn of the century. Probably considered like one of the harbingers of the 21st century, I would say. Really a lot of filming techniques that it popularized, action kind of stuff, CG, a lot of groundbreaking special effects. The Matrix is about Neo, who is a low-level computer hacker who he's got a white-collar job, and all of a sudden he's sort of swept out of his reality by these people who say, hey, this world that you're living in is not all it seems to be. And he's given a choice, figure out how deep the rabbit hole goes, or forget everything and keep going about his life. And as most people knows, he goes on down the rabbit hole, Alice, and discovers that he's been living in a simulation and the world is a dystopic future where machines rule and people are their batteries, sleeping in these little cryopods, having all of their energy harvested to keep the machines.
Everyone's bald.
Everybody's bald.
That's the worst part.
Yeah, everybody should be blind because they've never used their eyes or their muscles. They're all dystrophied. But so he wakes up, and now he's part of this team of human resistance trying to take back the world and topple the machines.
Yeah, awesome. Classic. The Matrix.
This is the Trumatrix Show. Tristan, I want to hear your log line for this week's matchup.
Yeah, so our log line is basically like, can you write like a very short description?
Little elevator pitch.
Elevator pitch that encompasses both films that we're talking about. And this is just to kind of further the conceit of Hard Ticket, to show that these films belong in conversation with one another. Yeah. My log line is pretty simple. What if I told you the world around you is a simulation? You are but a drone for some larger hive mind's cosmic fulfillment. The way out will test the limits of the real and your mind. And that's the log line. That's the premise. You know, I think that's what sets up the conflict of both of these films. We're playthings to something larger, some greater system, some simulation.
A hive mind, as you said.
The hive mind.
That's interesting. Yours is sort of from the perspective of the respective protagonists of these movies. Mine, my log line here. In a dystopian future/present, humanity is pacified by a false reality while a single protagonist struggles to break free. That's it.
That's awesome, dude.
That's very simple. Yeah.
It's very simple. Well, these are, I mean, deceptively simple films. Yeah. It's just about a person who has to get out. At first, that's like how it starts. Now, for Truman, you know, getting out that's like the victory. For Neo, getting out is just getting started.
That's the end of the first act.
Yeah, he's like, you know, I don't promise you any answers. Once you get out, you have to make of that reality what you will. Yeah. Which is a horrifying reality.
Yeah, most of the Truman Show is spent with Truman gradually figuring out that his reality is false.
Yeah.
Because why would you think anything else? We accept the reality of the world with which we are presented.
Yes.
So says Christoph, the creator of The Truman Show.
Yes.
The biggest show ever in the world in 1998.
Yeah, The Truman Show is like, so they built this gigantic studio like just outside of Hollywood.
Visible from space.
Yes. Yeah. They're like, it's the only man-made structure besides the Great Wall of China visible from space. And it's just this big dome where they have constructed, it's basically just an island with a moat around it, which is supposed to be the ocean. And they've instilled Truman Burbank with a crippling fear of water so that he never wants to venture beyond Seaside Haven.
Yeah.
Which is the name of the town. And it's kind of modeled, it's sort of like this like 50s like kind of style town, like lots of pastel colors.
Norman Rockwell kind of existence, yeah.
Lots of advertising, which they play up to comedic at first degree, and then also like it starts to get like kind of like uncanny because like he gets into a fight with his wife and she starts like reading ads to like
she reads copy in the middle of it, which is just like, well, the Truman Show, the whole thing about it is it never stops airing. It's always so instead of commercial breaks, they had to incorporate products into the show, and also all of the costumes that the people wear, all of the sets
houses.
And the houses, they're all purchasable. So everything is for sale, basically.
Everything is for sale.
Except for Truman, who is the only real thing about the show.
He is real, yes, although he is owned by the corporation.
Well, they adopt him, but after I would assume after a certain age, they can't legally own him, but I don't know. They don't go into it.
Yeah, they don't go into it.
It doesn't venture outside of what is immediately prevalent for the narrative, whereas The Matrix sets up a lot of things. It's the first in what was originally a trilogy.
Yes.
And then there was a legacy sequel in 2021.
Yeah.
And, it's a huge franchise. It became one of the pinnacles of cyberpunk cinema, for sure. And it really is like an amazing movie. Both of these movies, amazing movies.
Oh, yeah. This is like one of the closest, for me, like one of the closest matchups. So I'm like, these movies, they're both like in my top like 50 movies ever. They're like perfect, great movies that make me like, they make me laugh, they make me cry. I'm like terrified by them. Like I have a lot of fun with both these movies. So I think it's going to be a pretty interesting discussion. And I'm really interested to hear where your Hard Ticket's going to go to, because I have an idea, but I feel like I'm going to be surprised.
Well, this is what makes it one of our Duel of the Fates. This is a big one. It really is one of those ones that you hear our premise, Hard Ticket, double feature movie matchup podcast. Although I really feel like you could put both of these movies up against anything.
Yeah.
The Matrix was so influential, but you could also put it up against like Alice in Wonderland. You could put it up against like Metropolis or Tron or the Lego movie. The Lego movie takes so much inspiration from this. I didn't even realize it. I hadn't rewatched this movie in a long time.
That's true. Wild Style is basically Trinity. Yeah. That makes sense. And yeah, I get Vitruvius.
They got like
Morpheus.
the Irish cop and everything too. Yeah. Like it takes a lot of inspo for sure.
That's true. Liam Neeson and Hugo Weaving.
Yeah. And then Truman Show also, I feel like it works against so many other matchups as well. And because it's like that super soft sci-fi where it's like pretty much everything exists in the practical world except there's this big dome.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah. You do have to suspend your disbelief a little bit, like the technology required to actually make a Truman Show. We haven't quite reached that point.
Right.
But maybe we will one day.
There were plenty of people who were inspired afterwards because, like we said, the reality TV boom happened immediately afterwards. People want some semblance of reality, but also really studios just don't want to pay writers. And that's why reality TV is the cheapest thing to produce.
And that's a big question brought up by both films is what actually is real and what's the simulation? Because, we talk about reality TV and that's a big word, reality, and the whole thing with the Truman Show is that obviously everything's fake, everything's for sale. You say Truman's the only real person.
That's what they say.
That's what they say, yeah. And Truman is real in the sense that he doesn't know that he's in a show, although he has obviously been completely molded by the world in which he has grown up in, because he was like adopted before he was even born, because he was like an unwanted pregnancy.
Yeah, there were like a bunch of babies that were due, and he was the one that arrived exactly when they needed to start the show, essentially. But you also see how trying to engineer somebody's personality from birth doesn't work exactly.
That's true. There's like a nature versus nurture debate going on here.
But we will definitely get into that. I want to start us off with our first question of the round. So let's get into the discussion.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Listen to me, Truman. There's no more truth out there than there is in the world I created for you. Same lies. The same deceit. But in my world, you have nothing to fear.
Question number 1. This is a question proposed by myself.
Okay.
Are these matrices serving the same purpose? So let's talk about it.
Okay.
There's a matrix in the Truman Show. It's a big dome run by Christof, the creator, director, writer, producer. It's basically his whole life. In fact, everybody in the credits, they're credited as either Truman's World or Christof's world.
Yeah.
That's how their characters are literally credited at the end of the movie. And I think that's fascinating because Christof lives in this, he's like, his view into the world is through the moon. Like he spies on Truman through the moon and provides entertainment to the masses.
Yeah.
And then you look at the Matrix, the simulated reality of the Matrix. All of humanity is in the Matrix. They are literally harvested from birth. They're put in these pods. They become electricity for the machines. And they get served the reality that they can accept, which is not a utopic reality, as the machines apparently, according to Agent Smith, initially tried to set the humans up with. Their minds couldn't accept like a reality without conflict. And so they just put humanity into a reality reflected of the peak of their progress, 1999.
Yes.
Which will, is that the peak of human progress?
Well, he says specifically peak of human progress because he feels like right after that, when computers started really taking over, like that's really the machine's progress.
Right, right. But the purpose of both here, a battery machine and an entertainment machine.
Yeah.
Is it the same?
Is it the same? I mean, yeah, they're both serving the interests of and like I said, hive mind that's sort of behind the construction of both. The Truman Show, people, it seems like the people who watch, because we cut a lot to people watching the show on the outside world. And they're always like kind of like looking like toward the camera, basically,
Right,
like in the
yeah.
general direction of the camera. It's like the fourth wall, basically. We're like looking through the fourth wall. And they're watching Truman, and they kind of get like a sense of like vicarious thrill or like, yeah. Like,
They get safety from them as
Safety-
well. They leave him on when they're sleeping and
Yeah.
he's sleeping. It's just like this comfort. It's a parasocial
it's a
relationship.
parasocial, yeah, there's a parasocial relationship going on there. They get a sense of like maybe their lives are chaotic, but Truman's is controlled, and there's a sense of like security that
Yeah.
gets brought on from that. So in a way, they're slaves to Truman in the way that Truman's a slave to Christoph,
Yeah.
who has engineered this entire thing, which makes sense because you're talking about Christoph's world. He kind of does have the world in the palm of his hands by this whole like show that he's doing. The machines, you know, are they slaves to their own batteries? Definitely not, right? Like I wouldn't make that argument. I think they're using humanity in a purely I don't know, it's like a utilitarian sense. Like they have no need for like emotional fulfillment.
Right.
The machines just exist to propagate themselves. We do kind of get a sense, like when we're talking to Agent Smith, that he is a little more going on under the surface than just pure, like just thinking machine. Like he also hates humanity.
Yes.
There's like a personal vendetta against humanity. So, you know, you kind of get a sense that the machines maybe aren't as like cold and logical as they would purport to be, and maybe there's an influence that's going on there. And I think some of that gets explored in like the trilogy that follows.
Sure.
But in
yeah.
the Matrix itself, no. I mean, the machines are just pure, just evil, basically.
Yeah, to me, The Matrix is the 1984 to the Truman Show's Brave New World.
I thought the exact same thing.
I think it really just comes to that because, you know, 1984 is a book about totalitarian oppression. And A Brave New World is like humanity is oppressed, but it's ruled by its desires instead of its fears.
Yeah,
So
it's
like,
the carrot versus the stick kind of thing.
yeah, orgy porgy, like all this stuff, eugenics, like everything is as good as it could possibly be because you have everything you want.
Yeah.
With Truman as this like symbol of, you know, just safety. People project themselves onto Truman. He needs to be an everyman, which it's like they are so lucky he turned out that way. What if they picked a baby that was like, you know, like a predisposed serial killer or something?
Yeah, well, like, yeah, again, it gets into that question, like, what could he have turned in? I mean, but obviously Truman does break the mold in this. Like,
He does. He's not just like a blank slate. He has desires, dreams. Really, he just wants to go on adventures. He's an explorer.
Yeah.
And the show is engineered to put him down every time he expresses that.
That's true.
Through dialogue from the actors around him, because everybody is an actor around him, which is itself a terrifying conceit.
Yeah.
To just like the set design and everything, like he goes to a travel agency and there's like a streak of lightning going through a plane. It's like, it could happen to you. Like,
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily a comedy. It still has like comedic chops. Same way The Matrix isn't a comedy, but it's still like, it leans into a lot of camp, which is fun.
Well, it's definitely stylistic. I do love like all the subliminal like imagery in the Truman Show
Yeah.
and the way it's sort of like, you put him on this island and you make him afraid of the ocean, and so you're naturally like establishing like a border. And so it's not 1984. It's not Big Brother stamping a foot on your face for all eternity. But it kind of is that, just subliminally. It's just like we're going cradle to grave. We're going to take care of you. Everybody, like the fans on the outside, have these pins that say, "How is it going to end?" Like
the sect of people who want to free Truman, essentially.
Yeah,
right?
I guess it is from them. Although I kind of would just assume everybody would kind of wonder, like, how is the Truman Show going? Like, will it end when he dies? How is he going to die? Is he going to die prematurely?
Yeah.
There could always be an accident. Like Truman could have just woken up one day and tripped and fell and like down the stairs and died. Like, that could always happen. And that's, I guess, part of the vicarious thrill of watching the Truman Show is like being able to be like, ooh, I get to watch someone else like live their life and maybe die. You don't have to think about it like for yourself as much. There's that remove there, that little barrier. And Truman Show's a movie about barriers, about putting up all these artificial barriers and natural barriers and having to kind of like deal with them.
I in prep for this, I watched or listened to an episode of the podcast the Cinefix Top 100. They talk about the Truman Show. There's a whole episode about that. They kind of make a point that Truman is not the main character of the Truman Show.
Okay.
It is the audience. It is us watching it. And we get it at the beginning. We get interviews that go ahead and pierce the facade. There's a version of this story where you find out with Truman that his reality is fake. And it's sort of like is the first act of The Matrix like that.
Yeah.
But we don't get that. We know from the beginning it's fabricated. We know we're watching something fake. It comes into play at the ending too. Once Truman's arc is over, there are still scenes of people watching the show, celebrating it. And the last line of dialogue in the movie is like, what else is on?
Yes.
Let's check. Where's the TV guide? To me, that's just such a cynical punctuation mark.
It is.
It's so cynical. We are ruled by these entertainment desires that we have. Like, what did everybody say during the pandemic? It's like art and entertainment is the escape we need, and we go crazy without it. Like, it is the lifeblood. It's the energy. It's like a battery that keeps us going, wouldn't you say?
That's true. Well, yeah, I guess in that sense, then, humanity in The Matrix and humanity in The Truman Show aren't so different after all. I think you need that bitter punctuation mark at the end of The Truman Show because, we root. First of all, you engage with The Truman Show. You turn it on and watch it. It's fake. It's a movie, right? It's a fake.
Yeah.
So you're already engaging with it on that level. And then it gets into like the level of, actually the reality within the reality of the film is also fake. It's like all these levels of fakeness. And so you root for Truman to get out, even though once he gets out, that's the end of the Truman Show. That's the end of the show that you're watching. It's the end of the movie you're watching. So you're rooting for your own demise as a viewer of the film itself, which is kind of like, it's kind of interesting, I think. You're rooting for Truman to live, and by him living, you hope to vicariously feel like once you're free of this story, you can go off and live your life. So ending on that punctuation mark of like, let's change the channel. What's on here? It's supposed to make you think and be like, I shouldn't be like these guys who are like, what are they? They're like security guards, like eating donuts, and
I think they're like the valet or something.
Yeah, they're just like two, mindless kind of viewers, and it's like, don't be like these guys. Don't be like a mindless viewer and just change the channel. Think on what you just watched and try to be a little more mindful. Wake up from the Matrix, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And Truman, I think, is a harder character to slot into that traditional kind of Campbellian monomyth because the rejection of the call at the beginning, that's something Neo gets very directly. He has that crux moment. He meets Merlin. He has all of this. Merlin is Morpheus in this scenario. It's like King Arthur. King Arthur.
Yeah.
Neo slots perfectly into that protagonist role. He is the chosen one. He is prophetic, whereas Truman was just chosen because he arrived on time. You can't slot him in as much to that monomyth. His journey is a little bit more complex. It's a little bit more of a mirror. It is a mirror. I mean, this movie might be the cleanest, shiniest, clearest mirror the audience can look into and stare right back at themselves. Whereas The Matrix is like, it's taking a lot of cultural elements and kind of recontextualizing them into something that, like I said, it heralds 21st century cinema. It takes all these like Eastern fighting techniques,
That's true.
all the wire works and stuff like that. It's inspired by like some religious through lines through Christianity, also like Gnosticism, stuff like that. And it just like, but it puts it into a computer, and everything's green because that's the color of computers in 1999.
Right.
That's computer color, quote unquote.
Right.
And it just shows it right back. Like, if you're looking to change the channel after the Truman Show, put on The Matrix because it's exactly that kind of like entertainment that is so joyful and so fun. And then you got 3 more movies after it, plus the Animatrix, plus you could play all the video games that the Wachowskis also directed. So,
holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, why didn't The Truman Show get like a video game spinoff?
I don't know. It just kind of feels like The Truman Show ends. That's the whole thing about it, is that it has to end, right? It
has to end.
It is very self-contained. It doesn't go off on all these, like, yes, there is a sect of people in the real world that want to free Truman. You could expand the world that way, but that's not what the story's about. Versus The Matrix, which is introducing you to, like, Zion and alluding to the fall of man. And there's all these avenues that it's leaving open to explore, and it explores all of them in expansion material and direct sequels.
Do you feel like the obsession that came out of the Matrix, because there was like this big boom, people dressed in leather and the glasses and like the cyberpunk craze and everything. Like, do you feel like that ended up being kind of a distraction away from the core message of the Matrix, which isn't so much like dress cool and act like a counter culturist or whatever? Like, you should actually like examine your reality and look at the things that actually matter. Here's like, and I asked you that question, but kind of like a follow-up comment from me is like, The Matrix is a really fascinating movie to me because people take so many different messages from it. I feel like The Truman Show, it's pretty direct about what it's saying about like needing to be more mindful and not living vicariously through like media and other people's lives and celebrity and all this stuff. The Matrix, on the other hand, seems like if you're a libertarian, it's like the government is fake, taxes are fake. If you're a leftist, it's like gender norms are fake. Because the Wachowskis came out as trans after this movie. A lot of people have read like a trans like a gender dysphoria narrative in The Matrix. But then also there's a huge sect of like men's rights activists who do the whole red pill thing, and they're like, the red pill is learning that racism is good and sexism is good. Like, so it's like The Matrix is so broad in a way, and maybe that's why it was so open-ended. That's why it inspired like this media franchise and this craze around it.
Yeah, well, I feel like there is an open ending to The Truman Show as well. Yeah. There's like, the mirror, as mentioned previously, it's telling you not to live vicariously, but also like there is Truman's arc, his like embrace adventure, even if it means like killing yourself over it. Yeah. There is the question of what happens to Truman afterwards, because that is like a tantalizing question. How does he adjust? And we're going to talk about that next week when we talk about Bruce Almighty, because it is absolutely a sequel to The Truman Show. But I think just thematically ending it right there, any expansion material betrays it versus The Matrix, which I think the Wachowskis embraced. The Matrix came out before either of them transitioned, and I think I honestly might have been a tool to help them. Yeah, and they saw benefit in following it up and helping other people. One of the through lines for the transsexuality message is like Agent Smith keeps referring to Neo as Mr. Anderson. Right. And I read that one of the Wachowskis, I can't remember which one, but they were in a very dark place before they transitioned. They didn't know their identity, and they had thoughts of suicide, and they contemplated throwing themselves basically in front of a subway train. And that's where a very important confrontation for Neo happens, is right in front of the subway with Agent Smith, who's once again calling him Mr. Anderson, and Neo dead naming him exactly. And he says, "My name is Neo," and he gets up and he fights back, and he does all this cool choreography that's like, it's pretty this is where the camp is in The Matrix. Like, he pokes him in the throat and goes like and it's all this stuff where it's like, yes, this is a dour kind of dystopian story, but also like we're having a blast making it.
We're gonna fight back and we're gonna have a good time doing it. It kind of reminds me of like Star Wars in a lot of ways. It was like the '90s version of Star Wars. I feel like in a lot of ways.
I know this steak doesn't exist. I know that when I put it in my mouth, the Matrix is telling my brain that it is juicy and delicious. After 9 years, you know what I realize? Ignorance is bliss.
He could leave at any time. If his was more than just a vague ambition, if he was absolutely determined to discover the truth, there's no way we could prevent him. I think what distresses you, really, caller, is that ultimately Truman prefers his cell, as you call it.
So my question, and it's sort of a follow-up, I guess, of some of the stuff we're talking about, is watching The Truman Show, is that the same thing as taking the blue pill? And I mean that primarily like in the sense of like you're a person in the universe of The Truman Show and you're watching the show. But I think it can also apply to somebody like in real life who would watch the Truman Show and watch it and just be satisfied and be like, huh, interesting, and then go about their daily life. Is it there, like, are we still being placated even when we think that we're not? Does that make sense?
Yeah, because in real life, I think your initial question is like, would people watch the Truman Show today? And my answer to that is absolutely 100%. We have avenues that mimic it. You know, you can do 24-hour streams on Twitch, stuff like that. We have hidden camera shows. We have all these methods of entertainment. The Truman Show would be a hit today. It would have been a hit in 1998. I absolutely believe so. The way that the Truman Show kind of condemns humanity is, you know, not only is it condemning the audience for living vicariously, but the actors that surround Truman, who are, you know, you have Laura Linney's character who's like, this is truly a blessed life that I get to be Truman's wife in the Truman Show. Like, this is where the cynical core of the Truman Show is to me. It's all of humanity is just the worst. Kind of, they convince themselves they're doing the right thing. And you can always convince yourself when you're watching something that it has merit, that, you know, if they didn't make it, somebody else would, or if I didn't watch it, somebody else would. Like, I think the Truman Show would be a hit. Do you disagree?
Well, I don't know. I'm not a big reality TV fan myself, although I have watched, you know, some Survivor and stuff like that, and I've enjoyed that. There is a difference between Survivor, and maybe this is cope. Maybe I'm just trying to convince myself that there is a difference, because I do feel like there's more conflict in a show like Survivor, and it's cut down. You know, it's edited. It's like an hour-long program instead of the 24/7 live stream for 30 years of this man. So, like, there's a part of me that's like, well, I probably wouldn't watch The Truman Show if I existed in that universe. I'd probably be like Sylvia, who is an actress who gets cast as an extra, and she, like, falls in love with Truman on set and basically realizes that he, you know, like, it takes pity on him. And it's like, Truman, wake up, you know, wake up, take the red pill. And so I feel like I'd probably be like that person, but... we do live in. You're right. I mean, we do live in an age where reality TV is very popular, and I do get some vicarious thrills out of watching some really trashy stuff sometimes. MILF Manor, anybody?
Where are my MILF Manor stands at? Shout out in the comments.
Yeah, MILF Manor heads rise up. So it's. I don't know, because I'm like, it'd be so boring. Like, I'm just like, it'd be so boring. He just sleeps but everybody just sleeps with him, right?
Right. It's like an ASMR thing.
Yeah.
I think, you know, you listen to it just for like a level of comfort. It's like watching Bob Ross paint, stuff like that. The thing about Truman is that, like, they make sure he's not particularly skilled at a lot of things. He just has a desk job, and they tell him to be grateful for it in the form of his best friend, who Christoph literally whispers lines into his ear.
Yes.
Which is something they do on reality TV. I want everybody to know that. I've been on reality TV sets. I have personal reasons for hating reality TV. All right. I hate reality TV. But regardless.
Not MILF Manor, though.
I've never watched MILF Manor, and I never will. But the question as to whether or not watching The Truman Show is taking the blue pill, because taking the blue pill is surrendering to it's ignorance is bliss, right? You could watch The Truman Show and not consider the ethical ramifications of it, because there are ethical ramifications for it. And you could take the blue pill and not think about the fact that your husk is rotting away in a battery of some overlord machine.
That's true. I want to be an absolute asshole right now and bring up Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino has this really just this line, this advice. He says, "I didn't go to film school. I went to films."
Yeah.
So it's like and then he made them. So, like, it's like this idea of, like, instead of schooling yourself and, like, because, like, people who watch Bob Ross, it's like you can watch Bob Ross, or you can watch him just enough to know how to paint yourself, and then you can just paint. But some people just put on Bob Ross to be soothed or to be comforted.
Fall asleep to,
right? And is that wrong? Like, is there a problem with people who watch reality TV just to be soothed for some reason? Like, if you watch The Truman Show and you watch Truman go to sleep, well, you go to sleep. Like, is there something wrong with that? Or should you be more like Quentin Tarantino and go make your film? You know what I mean? Like, should you take what it is that you've seen and apply it to your life? Or is it a waste? if you don't do that.
I want to be pretty clear in saying that my biggest gripe with reality TV, IRL, is that
That's
it's
in real life.
Yeah, thank you. It's literally that they create it to be cheap entertainment, and specifically they do not hire or pay writers for it. And I am an advocate for, paying all your creative team. That effort going into production will ideally manifest in the final product. Now there are sitcoms that are not, if we want to tier entertainment, those are like, bottom tier, lowest common denominator. They're for the masses. There's shows like Friends, and Friends is a sandbox where it's like, in this episode, Monica and Phoebe are going to start a food truck and some wacky shenanigans are going to ensue. And to me, it's always like, it's ridiculous. Somebody's still writing it though, and it's almost like playing with your toys. Like your characters are your toys, and you're publishing it. Versus reality TV, where it's the cheapest form of entertainment. You don't pay anybody for it. You produce it and you fund it so that less people can make money in the industry, so that writers are out of a job. And writers have always struggled in this world too. It's sad to me.
That is sad. That is sad. No, you're sort of like Marxist analysis of reality TV. Like I appreciate it. I do. I'm like, thinking, what would Marx think of the Matrix? Like he's watching the Matrix and he's like, who's paying all these machines? Like, do they have capitalism?
The thing about the Matrix is it is also giving us so many intentionally just enjoyable, like the Matrix was revolutionary in terms of the technical stuff that it did. The bullet time sequences wasn't necessarily the first movie to do that or to try it, but it was like a breakthrough success when it happened.
Yeah.
Same with like the hotel lobby shoot up scene.
Yeah.
Same with like all of the special effects, all the wire work, revolutionary.
But here's the thing, like okay, you take the bullet time effects scene, and like that effect is, even though it wasn't, invented by the Matrix, it was sort of like revolutionized and perfected, and it served a purpose within the story, where it's like you're given this privileged perspective of a moment or a couple moments in time, a sense of unreality within a simulation itself. So it lends itself to the actual ideas being explored in the film. Later on, it was taken by other action filmmakers and just put in because it looks cool. And it's like, okay, is that a blue pill moment? Is that a moment where you're just taking it, you're not thinking about it, the intention behind it?
Yeah, that's a good point. And I liked your comparison earlier to The Matrix as Star Wars, because it is like a thing where Star Wars is like almost holistically unoriginal in terms of its story beats, but it has an identity where like, all of its sound effects are iconic, all of its designs are. Luke is not an interesting character that hasn't been seen before, but through his performance and through the story, a familiar story, he still becomes this character that we all love. I think the thing with the Matrix is the characters themselves aren't like, there's kind of room for them to be fleshed out a little bit more, but the way that these elements are coming together, like, I love when Morpheus he goes off on these things where he's talking about all the people in the Matrix, and he says, inside the Matrix, they are everyone and they are no one. It's like the kind of thing like Morpheus should write fortune cookies or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, I love, the Matrix is great. And I especially love like the first act, because that's when all like the philosophy stuff is kind of going on.
Yeah.
And it's not like the most profound philosophy you've ever heard. It is like kind of sophomoric, but that's like the charm of it, because it is earnest in that, where it's just like it's more about raising questions, which I guess if you ever took a philosophy class, it's basically just asking questions.
Right. It's talking. Not answering them.
Yeah. It's just about talking. And I agree. There is like a lot of like, high school, college philosophy ideas being thrown around in the Matrix, which are fun. So I guess you could say, the Matrix isn't supposed to be a treatise on simulation, like a robust, because there is like that moment where Neo pulls, was it like drugs or something out of a book that's Simulacra and Simulation, which was written by a French philosopher, and I'm gonna butcher his name, Jean Baudrillard, I think, something like Baudrillard. Don't look at me. Anyways, and that's like an actual book that it like explores a lot of the ideas, or supposedly the ideas in the Matrix. I think the French philosopher actually was like, no, they misunderstood everything. But like, and then again, it's like, okay, is that a blue pill moment? Like you have to keep wondering, like, what's the essence of a thing, right? Like that's what these movies are all about. Like what's the essence of a thing? Specifically, what's the essence of a person, the essence of reality? Are we missing out on something? And when we watch these movies and we feel like we're getting something meaningful out of them, are we tricking ourselves? Are we placating ourselves? Are we in the Brave New World doing our little, putting drugs in our system and just being like, oh, this is fine. This is fine. I'm getting something out of this, but not really engaging with it. And we're trying to engage with it right now here on Hard Ticket.
Yeah. Yeah, this is our, we are placators ourselves, I suppose.
Yeah, there you go.
Is listening to Hard Ticket the same as taking the blue pill?
Yeah. Interesting. Comment down below.
Yeah. Sound off in the comments. Oh,
a break. Gotta take a break from that one.
I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice. Tumbling down the rabbit hole?
You could say that.
I can see it in your eyes. You have the look of a man who accepts what he sees because he is expecting to wake up. Ironically, this is not far from the truth.
Why do you think that Truman has never come close to discovering the true nature of his world until now?
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
Okay, so my next question that'll lead down probably another rabbit hole, another minefield.
how deep does it go?
There's an interaction between Truman and his like best friend, who is an actor, and he is being fed lines by the creator of the Truman Show.
Might be for that reason, like the worst guy.
Yes.
Movie,
oh my God, terrifying.
Because he even has that line where he's like, well, if everybody's in on it, that means I'm in on it.
Yeah, he just gaslights him completely. Yeah, it's awful. There's an interaction where Truman's like, maybe I'm being set up for something. You ever think about that? Like your whole life has been building towards something, and the guy's just like, no. So, but there is this like this free will versus determinism thing going on in both these films. Truman feels like he is being, because he is the chosen one. It's something you talked about earlier.
He was literally chosen.
He was the one chosen.
There was nothing special about him except that he was the one chosen.
And that's the same thing in Harry Potter. Harry Potter. Like that's the thing. Like you learn that in Harry Potter, like the difference between Neville, because like Neville could have been picked and Harry could have been picked. And the only thing that makes Harry special is that he was picked.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with Truman. He was just the one picked. And then there's something with Neo too, where it's like Morpheus is convinced that Neo is the one. His name is even an anagram of one.
Yeah.
Very clever.
Wow.
Yeah. Whoa. So like you have this theme of free will versus determinism, like how much of your life is determined by an outside influence and how much of it is your own. And Neo even like says to Morpheus like a big thing, like he rejects the idea of being controlled because he doesn't like the idea that someone is controlling his own life. Big conflict in the Matrix obviously is that there is a Matrix, there is like robots that are conspiring against humanity, but also the idea, if he is the chosen one, if there is this prophecy that's setting him up, is that in and of itself its own mini Matrix? That is something that is controlling his life and taking away from his autonomy, because he does have this interaction with the Oracle, who's like this kindly old grandma, makes cookies and everything.
He goes to the Oracle and he steps into her office.
Yes.
And one of the first things she says to him is, don't worry about the vase.
Yes.
And he turns and he says, what vase? And when he turns, he knocks the vase over and breaks it. And he's like, I'm sorry. And she said, I already told you not to worry about it, but would you have even broke it if I didn't say anything?
Which is the same thing with like Truman, where it's like, would he even be special if he wasn't chosen? Like that's the whole thing. Like it was called out beforehand.
And you have the argument with Neo as well. The Oracle tells Neo that he is not the chosen one.
Yes.
But he is. At the end of the movie, he sees the Matrix. He bends reality, or the Matrix, to his will, and becomes basically immortal within it. And he must have needed to be told that he wasn't the special one in order to become that. And to me, that's like, that really does kind of leave the door open, right? Did he need to be told that he wasn't? Or could anybody be this kind of like identify that, just bend the spoon. There is no spoon.
Sure.
That's a kid gives him that advice.
Yeah, anybody can do it. Yeah.
The secret to bending the spoon is that there is no spoon. It's all in your mind. Anybody could do it, maybe. I haven't actually seen the 3 Matrix sequels. I don't know if anybody else ever does it, but do they?
I can't remember. It's been like 5 years since I've seen them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, then it comes to Truman as well. Like, is Truman, the last scene, the last kind of sequence of the Truman Show is he sails away. He faces his fear of water that's been instilled upon him from birth and defies how he has been raised by this corporation that has tried to engineer fear in him. They've tried to make him afraid of water, and they've succeeded. They've made him afraid of dogs. They put at these borders whenever he's trying to leave, and they've succeeded at that too. But Truman, honestly, there's the argument that in doing that stuff, they instilled a greater desire for him to push back and escape.
That's true. A person's like a rubber band. The more you kind of pull on them, the more they're going to snap back when you let go. And that's what Truman does. He just breaks free, snaps back.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Jesus. let's do it. The Truman Show, created by Christoph of Christ, or he thinks so. He thinks of himself as a god.
Is that that's not literally an anagram, but is it more clever than Neo or not? What do you think?
It is the same level of cleverness. Yeah, mathematically, it's the exact same. No, it's he's the man in the moon. He's up in the sky. He's orchestrated this entire event. He puts Truman through sort of arbitrary hardships as though he were Job. It feels very biblical. You get
they're just soap opera plots.
Yeah,
because he needs to generate drama every now and then to keep viewers interested
for no reason. Like you could let Truman just live a perfectly happy utopic life. I mean, he does live a pretty good life. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, he's got a desk job.
He's got the pinnacle of 1990s horror, the desk job. Yeah, Truman could live a perfect life, but maybe like the humans in the Matrix, if he were living that life, he would have rejected it even quicker. Certainly the audience would have rejected it quicker, I would imagine, because it's like, why am I watching this? He's just having a perfect life.
Yeah, and there's the whole thing about the Matrix, which is like the blue pill will let you forget, and you can live ignorance is bliss. Truman, there is no way once the Matrix, once the show falls apart, cracks his reality wide open, there's no way to repair that. Now, Christoph offers him at the end. He's like, you just turn your little ass around and I'll keep providing. But like, what kind of life would you live if you knew that every person is an actor, every situation is false? Like, there is no way you can live unless you just want to be babied.
Well, and Christoph all but tries to kill Truman at the end of the show as he's trying to sail away. I mean, like Truman literally like screams to the heavens, and he's just like, "You're gonna have to kill me!" Like, because how else are you gonna erase that knowledge? Like that ignorance is no longer there. Like there's no bliss anymore, and it's kind of harrowing. The boat he's on, by the way, is the Santa Marina, which is Mother Mary. Like
nice.
There's all kinds of little Christian allusions. I think Truman. I think he is 30 exactly.
Okay.
And Jesus, I think, was 33 when he died. But Truman doesn't die, so
right.
He's got a couple more years.
Yeah.
But there are like a lot of allusions. I feel like Truman as Jesus, everybody looks up to him as sort of a role model and as a figure to live your life through.
And Christoph is God. He's a man with a God complex, for sure.
He's like Old Testament God.
And he's like, at the end when he's talking to Truman, he's cradling his like tablet basically in his hands, like it's a baby. And he's like running his finger across it, like I created you, basically. But he didn't. He created the reality around Truman, but Truman fights back, rejects him, and leaves at the end.
There's sort of a Dr. Frankenstein thing going on there too. It's like the one thing he couldn't actually create was the life in which he was trying to mold it. And if he had, what would have gone wrong? Yeah, he's Truman, true man, like
it's like, all the same level.
Yeah, it's the same level of like cleverness. He is a true man. He has to learn to be an actual man.
But I think as cynical and as nightmarish as the scenario of the Truman Show is, it is ultimately arguing for free will, like we're talking about.
Oh yeah, yeah. It definitely is arguing for like a level of autonomy, of taking control of your life, of sailing across the sea that you're afraid of. You know, the sea is like the unconscious mind. You
Yeah.
know, it's like penetrate those deep fears that you have that have been forced on you by a world that hates you. Honestly, you know, Christoph claims to love. Almost said Jesus claims to love Truman, but he really he only controls them. It's like the old cliche, if you love something, set it free. He will not set Truman free until Truman has done all but killed himself trying to get out. And at the end of it, it's like, yeah, you need to take control and escape this, reality that you live in. What does that look like in real life? Like, how do you take that lesson from the Truman Show and apply it to your actual life? It's the same with the Matrix.
Can you apply it to the Matrix?
Well, yeah, it's the same thing. Well, I mean, Morpheus offers, like I said, he offers Neo the reality, but he's like, there's no answer there. Like the answer you have to seek for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure once Truman gets out of the Truman Show, he's got a lot of baggage he's got to work through, right? Like he's gonna second guess everybody around him for the rest of his life. Maybe it's an illusion within an illusion kind of thing.
For all the questions the Matrix asks, do you think it answers the one of free will? Because to me, the prophecy comes true. Like that seems to be the ultimate fulfillment.
Yeah, it's a tough question for me because I am on the fence when it comes to like the free will versus determinism debate. Like I don't know exactly which I believe.
I just believe we're all particles, man.
Yeah, well, we're definitely all particles, man. It's like when you order a steak at a restaurant, a juicy steak, you order a steak from a restaurant and it does eventually come to you. Did you just tell a prophecy and did the prophecy come true? Does it invalidate the free will of the server and of the chef who prepared it? I would argue no, it doesn't. So even though the prophecy does kind of come true, as in, like the prophecy is very vague though. It's just like Neo is the one. Like he'll be able to do a bunch of crazy shit, and he does. He does a bunch of crazy shit.
Yeah.
So is that the prophecy coming true? Yeah. Does it mean that Neo's free will has been taken away from him? I think the sequels get into that.
But you can't remember.
No. I know they do get into it. I just don't remember like the exact kind of answers because I do think it's kind of a muddy thing. It's like where do you? That's like my big hang up with the Matrix. Watching it. And not in a bad way.
This question of free will?
Yeah, it's a good hang up because it's like there is this immediately after this illusion.
Yeah, it leaves you
has been
thinking
broken.
about it.
Yeah. Immediately afterward, it's like Neo. Also, like your life is being controlled by robots, and your fate is predetermined by these robots. Also, free yourself and have your fate be predetermined by this prophecy, by the Oracle, and be our hero and all this stuff. And it's like Morpheus is trying to put Neo into that same box, that same pod that the robots have put him in. And it's like, you wrestle with that. You have to wrestle with that.
Yeah, it's like expectations, basically. Like those are prophecies sort of that people impress upon you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of putting it.
It's like, does the Truman Show end once Truman actually does leave the Truman Show? Like, because there's this obsession with celebrity in real life and in the universe of the Truman Show. And it's like, as soon as he gets out of there, that's when the real reality TV is just like following him around. Like, what is Truman Burbank doing? What does he think about our up life? Like, that's going to be a whole thing.
Well, we know now that he gets a job as a news anchor and he moves to Buffalo, New York, and he marries Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, and he gets a click remote that he can fast forward through sex.
Listen to Our Ticket next week and stay tuned.
All right, Jeff. We're at the end of the episode. I feel like I haven't said anything. I feel like I'm living in the Matrix right now. This is the part where we have to decide where our ticket is going to go to, and I'm sweating, bro. I'm sweating right now. My palms are sweaty. My armpits are sweaty. I don't know. I'm shaking because both these movies are so good. They're so good.
Yeah,
they're so good, and I don't know which one I would rather watch right now, and I need your help. I need your help. You might decide for me. You might be the deciding force.
Okay.
So I want to know what your hard ticket is going to go to, and I want to kind of hear your reasons, because there have to be involved reasons here.
Yeah, my hard ticket is going to The Truman Show.
Oh my goodness, I knew it.
Yeah, I bet you did. And I kind of felt going into this that these two movies represent sort of a split between us in terms of what we prefer. You love sci-fi. I love these like deeply human movies. And this is almost like a perfect bridge between the two.
Yeah.
When I rewatched The Matrix, I hadn't seen it since high school. In prep for this episode, I watched it. Holy shit, dude. It is so good.
Yeah.
It is so good. I forgot how good it is. In fact, I probably didn't even think it was as good when I first watched it as I did on this rewatch. It is like possibly one of the best action movies ever made. Probably one of the best action movies ever made. Even Keanu Reeves is like doing a pretty good job, which is like rare for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I did have this moment where I was kind of torn, and I do want to watch all the sequels. To me, The Truman Show, it is open-ended yet still so self-contained as a story. I think there are so many ways you can do The Truman Show wrong. You can find out along with Truman. You can dedicate more time to these other groups outside that are trying to free him. You can start at the wrong point in his life. You can keep one scene going too long. You can add a scene where he's in the real world. Like, there are a lot of tantalizing things, but it shows so much restraint. Yet inside Truman's world, everything is done so masterfully by Peter Weir. I have not really seen much of his stuff. This is the only Weir movie I've seen. Never seen Dead Poets or Picnic at Hanging Rock. But the script is so tight, and the way that they shot all this on location in Florida. And there are times where it's like really clean. It looks really squeaky clean. And then there are times where Truman starts to see the cracks, and the sun is really overbearing. Shadows get really harsh. And you start to get all this natural sound design, people walking, him looking around. And in those moments, I remember like everybody here is in on it. They are all actors. It's terrifying. And then Truman with this swell by Philip Glass, who, you know, does some of the score for this movie. And the song I love in particular is called the Anthem Part 2, which was borrowed from Powakatsi.
Yeah.
Is this scene where he realizes like, he's like, I think I'm the most powerful person in the world. And he just like starts putting his hand out in front of cars and they stop. And this song is playing the whole time. And it gives me goosebumps every single time I watch it because like it's a lot like the scene where Neo fights Agent Smith back, which Hugo Weaving, great performance. I don't think we've said that enough. Like that is one of the best antagonists ever put to film, I would say.
Classic.
But in these moments where Truman's like, well, I'm going to test this. I'm going to see how far this goes, how deep the rabbit hole goes. Those moments, I'm just like, what a powerful display of externalizing what's going on in his head, looking around the world and just saying, just testing it, just being like, I don't know about this. I love it. Jim Carrey is electric in this role. It's not his Eternal Sunshine acting because in that movie he's a lot more reserved.
Yeah.
Here he still gets his Carreyisms. He still gets to be funny.
Yeah.
But then he also nails the dramatic moments when Laura Linney comes home and he's sitting in the dark and he's just like, why do you even want to have a kid with me? You can't stand me. Those scenes, they just like, they hit you.
Yeah.
They are so real.
Yeah.
You're reminded that there is reality within all of this. I rewatched The Truman Show this time around and thought, this is a top 10 movie for me. As much as I love The Matrix and as much as I do want to watch it again, I could probably watch The Truman Show a million times and never get sick of it.
So you've got 2 Jim Carreys in your top 10.
I think I do. In fact, on this rewatch, I thought it might have even been better than Eternal Sunshine.
Really?
Maybe. I'm not sure. So I got to watch it again to find out.
Ooh, wow. Wow. Glowing praise for The Truman Show. It makes sense. I feel like we talked a lot about The Truman Show in this episode. My hard ticket, it really wasn't as hard of a decision as I was making it out to be. It is The Matrix.
Bingo!
Bingo, Yahtzee!
Knew it.
Yes, I kind of figure you would figure me out pretty quickly. The Matrix, and I love The Truman Show, don't get me wrong. And I could say a lot of the same things that you were saying about it. I think, first of all, to start off, The Matrix, you got to see it in a movie theater.
Yeah.
If you've never seen it in a movie theater, you have experienced it, but you haven't experienced it as awesomely as it can
Yeah.
be, you know? And I got to see it a couple summers ago in a movie theater, and I would gladly go back and see it again. There's a lot more about the Matrix that I feel like I could comment on. I mean, we're little bits of the Matrix, like little individual notes I've made, like the Nokia phone that every time they like unflip it, it sounds like a freaking gun, and you hold it to your head to get out of the Matrix and everything. Like there's a very like powerful imagery going on there. Neo and Trinity, the one and the three and everything, all these Christian symbols. The fact that Neo himself does die, he has to die at the end in order to be resurrected through, you know, the hope of Morpheus, the faith of Morpheus, and the love of Trinity. Like there is a very Christ-like thing going on there. The Cypher, who is basically the
Judas.
Yeah, Judas of the Nebuchadnezzar. I love the desert of the real. Like just like every time they go into like when Morpheus is showing Neo the wasteland that exists outside, it's terrifying. I love when Morpheus is doing the world building in the Matrix. I'm not a world building guy usually. I'm like, you're distracting me from some cool ideas. But I like the idea of like all that exists of the human world anymore is a wasteland. You know, very like T.S. Eliot, just like there's nothing. It's you know, look on my work, see mighty and despair kind of stuff. I love the poetry of that. I love the sort of the Yoda scene, like with the kid bending the spoon.
Oh, yeah.
Like just do or do not. There is that, and that's really what do or do not. There is no try means.
Yeah.
It's not to. It's to simply, it's mind over matter, and that's what Neo is all about. Even though he is demonstrating all these impressive physical abilities, physical in quotation marks, it's all coming from his mind. And I love that. I love that about.
Yeah.
I love it. It's cerebral while also being allowed to be active. I love, you know, the kid on the Nebuchadnezzar who's like, the Wheaties, like how do the robots get the Wheaties? It's like that old classic like dilemma. It's like, is my red the same as your red? And I'm colorblind, so I'm like, I know my red isn't the same as your red. And I love that. He's just like, is my tasty wheat the same as your tasty wheat? Like, how did the machines know? And all that stuff. It's just bringing up all these, like, you watch The Matrix and you're just like chuckling to yourself because there's something kind of earnest and almost naive and simple about it, while also genuinely dredging up these ideas that are evocative, that have continued to be evocative in the 21st century, as evidenced by the way this film has had a grip on everything.
Yeah, there was a big kind of like trend towards, well, people say it all the time now. They're like, we're living in the worst timeline and stuff like that.
Yes.
It's like I had a roommate for years who was always like, this is a simulation. Like he'd come home and get high and he'd be like, we're living in a fucking simulation, dude. You know, like deja vu. That's a glitch in the Matrix right there. And then you have the Truman Show, which is like, there is like a legitimate Truman symptom where people feel like that they're being like spied on by everybody. Everybody's against them, that kind of thing. Like what you're saying is true. All the persisting legacy of these two movies.
Well, isn't it interesting too that these like movies come out at the end of the 1990s? Like, what does that say about like that time period? We talk about the 90s. I feel like a fair bit, like on our show.
We have revisited the 90s once again this week. It might be our most visited decade at this point.
It might be, yeah. I mean, there's something, you know, we talked about like the end of history and the idea of like Western hegemony, like really just, it's conquered everything. The USSR has fallen. The US is doing a victory lap, just being like, we did it. We won capitalism and everything. But then like nobody seems to be happy in these movies. Like they're touching on this, like this nerve where it's like, okay, everything's supposed to be great, but we're all miserable. Like,
I think that's part of what I'm saying when I say the Matrix heralded 21st century cinema, right? I don't think the Matrix could have come out at any other time. It is so indicative of the time in which it was released, not in a bad way at all. I think, nobody's having fun until Neo kind of is like, oh, wait, I am the chosen one. Then all of a sudden he's stopping bullets. He's poking Agent Smith in the throat. Like he's doing all this fun. All the wire work and stuff in the Matrix is fun as hell.
It is.
All the visual effects and stuff. Like this movie, it does kind of rebuild sort of our faith in cinema in a way that's like,
I think that's fair.
Look at this, all of these elements we're bringing together, and here they are, and we're having a blast with them.
It's like there may not be anything new under the sun, but we can at least configure them in all these different ways. It's something we talked about in our very first episode with Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction is a film very much, again, like Star Wars, that is drawing on all these disparate elements and combining them into something that no one had really seen in a popular film, at the time.
Yeah.
And The Matrix is very similar in that regard. It does feel like if we are living at the end of history, fine, but at least we'll take all of our historical references and we can kind of just mish and mash them together into something that is going to feel fresh and feel unique.
Maybe that's why the world building works in a context like this, where the story is very bare bones, archetypical, and the same with Star Wars. But the way that they get from A to B in a spaceship or in a telephone booth, like all of that stuff just enriches the story.
Yeah,
could be.
It could be. Comment down below. Comment down. Why do you love The Matrix and The Truman Show? These movies are incredible. Dude, The Bug in the Navel.
Had to get that one in there.
That's all. I wrote that down. The Bug in the Navel. That's on my notes.
Navel. Yeah.
What the hell is that all about? That's kind of creepy, right?
I hadn't seen The Matrix since I caught part of it at a gas station television when I was taking a shower at a truck stop because we were shooting a short film out in the elements and it rained the whole time.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we were recharging batteries in like the hospitality room, which was just a dark room with a row of chairs, and The Matrix was playing on the TV. And me and a couple of the guys were like, "Oh yeah, the bug in the navel." That's that scene. Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's classic.
Yeah, it is. It is classic. It is classic. Neo has no mouth, but he must scream.
Yeah,
he has no mouth. He must scream. Lots of great stuff in The Matrix. Lots of great stuff in The Truman Show. I am not surprised by your pick. The Truman Show is great. It does reference my favorite film ever, when Christoph. There's like that giant frame of Truman sleeping.
Oh yeah,
and Christoph like comes up and just like touches his face. It's like straight out of the beginning of Persona.
Yeah,
great stuff. The Truman Show is amazing, and I would like 4 times out of the 10 times I'm having to choose between these films, I'm picking The Truman Show. But the other 6 times, I am picking The Matrix. This one will divide people.
I think so, and maybe that's because they feel very different genres altogether. Themes, though, very similar.
Very similar.
What a fun we should call this Fun Ticket. How do you feel about that? But that's going to do it for us on this episode of Hard Ticket. Thank you, Jared Tadlock, for designing our brand elements, keeping our podcast looking fresh. Thank you, Aaron Griffin, for mixing and mastering our theme song, sung by yours truly, and a truly awful falsetto. You can follow the podcast on Instagram and Blue Sky at Hard Ticket Pod, all lowercase, all one word. You can follow me on Letterboxd at Jeff Blogus, all lowercase, all one word. Tristan, where can people follow you?
Yeah, follow me on Letterboxd at Tristan M. You can follow me on Instagram at Tristan_less. And you can also email the podcast, hardticketpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear future recommendations. If you want to be a guest, hate mail. What did you think about this episode? Whatever. Oh, rate us on Spotify too.
5 stars, please.
Yeah, please. Yeah, I got to get into the story about the one guy who gave us 1 star.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah. If he's listening, then maybe reconsider one day. But that's going to do it for us this week. We have a lot of fun, exciting 2026 matchups planned. So stay tuned. Next week, we're going to be talking about Bruce Almighty, another Jim Carrey flick with heavy god elements.
Yes.
And Click. Oh boy, I am excited for this one. But until then, we will see you guys at the movies.
It's a hard ticket at the movies. Which one will you watch? Let's decide. It's a hard